Today on All Things 80s, we're looking at food and drink from Christmas back in the 80s. Welcome back to All Things 80s. Now, as you may know, I had to go back to Scotland earlier this year. And when I was back there, I was quite fortunate in as much as the supermarkets began stocking their Christmas things again. So I managed to buy a bunch of items that I do remember from my Christmases of the 80s. And I've done a series of videos talking about the various drinks and the foods that we had back then. So first up, we're going to take a look at some of the drinks that I enjoyed as a child in the 80s. Now, when I talk about drinks, I'm talking about alcoholic drinks. This was the only time of the year I was ever given alcohol as a child. And just so you know, we're talking like teeny weeny amounts of alcohol. So in this first segment, we're going to take a look at some of these drinks that I had as a child at Christmas back in the 80s. One of my favourite things about Christmas as a child in the 80s was the fact that this was the one time of the year that I got to drink alcohol. Now, before anyone starts crying child abuse, when I say I got to drink alcohol, I got to drink a very watered down drink. But I have managed to find the ingredients that I remember quite fondly from back in the day. So first of all, I just want to say that the glasses we're using for this video today are the exact glasses that I had used back in the 80s. And the first thing I'm going to do is talk about sweet sherry. This is a drink that I remember my grandma was very fond of, and this was one of the glasses that she used. Now, before I make the child version of this drink, I just want to have a little sip from one of these just to see how it feels. And actually a very nice glass. I believe these are called sherry glasses. Anyway, there's not a lot of this left, so I've got to be careful here. So we'll put that in there. Actually, we can go a bit further. This was a very easy drink before it was diluted. Yeah, we've got enough left. So I have amazing memories of my mom, but especially my grandma, drinking sherry at Christmas time in one of these exact glasses. So, cheers. Wow. If I'm being honest, you could almost say it doesn't taste of any alcohol. Let's see. 17%. Hey, I've only had a little sip. 17.5% alcohol. So it's ever so slightly stronger than regular wine. But honestly, this is a fantastic tasting drink. I'm not really sure if you were a man of my age to go down to the local, I was going to say bar, but local pub and order a sweet sherry, how that would look. But in all honesty, this is absolutely delicious. Also, the glass itself is beautiful. Beautiful sherry glass. But this was not the purpose of this video. The purpose is to show you what I was given as a child in the 80s. So I have to assume I must have been 8 or 9, probably maybe even closer to 10 years old when at Christmas time I was allowed to have one of these. Once again, the exact glass, or one of the glasses that I used as a child. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the remainder of this, and I'm pretty sure when it was given to me there was probably that much sherry, and then of course it was sherry and lemonade. Now, in America, we think of lemonade as that cloudy, very bitter lemonade. In the UK, lemonade is essentially Sprite 7-Up, but without the lime element. So it's a crystal clear drink, but it mixes with everything. So, whoa. So for a boy of the 80s, a sherry and lemonade at Christmas was the order of the day. So, I'm pretty sure that when I was given it, the glass was filled up, but I don't want to drink a diluted sherry at this point in my life. So. But anyway, oh, it does smell. It brings back the memories. Let's see, sherry and lemonade. I'm not going to lie to you, this instantly brought back some great memories. Wow. And, like I said, 8, 9, maybe 10 years old, I would, sip this and I felt so grown up. Oh, that is absolutely wonderful. Oh, fantastic, really is. Next up was a real favourite of mine. This is the beer, we'll get to that shortly. Advocaat and lemonade. Now, I don't believe I've seen this in America, but they have it here and they had it when I was a child here. It's a Dutch drink. Oh, again, I see the percentage of alcohol, 17.2, and this was 17.5. So similar strength, but this is actually made from egg yolk, I would imagine. There's no actual ingredient on this. I wonder. Okay, I'll maybe just add some comments on this video to explain what it's made of. But it's an alcoholic drink. It's very creamy, and like I said, at the heart of its ingredients is egg yolk. I don't know if maybe have to shake it. I don't know. But this is Warnick's. It's the exact brand. Going back to the 80s, I'm sure it was a paper label. And also I found this in my dad's house, so this could be a real health hazard. I have no idea how old this is. But let's see. It smells okay. Again, original glass that was used back then. I don't really know how much goes into this. Okay, let's stop there. It's made a damn mess. And you actually see how thick this stuff is. It's creamy. I mean, I don't know if is there milk in there? Oops, once opened, keep refrigerated. Hey, well, the house is cold, so. I mean, it smells like it should. Take a little taste. Yeah, it tastes alright. Okay, hope I make it through this. But anyway, once again, Advocaat, good old lemonade. Get that in there. And I think it makes a real frothy, like a frothy head to it. But this one does require some stirring. So, spoon here. Right. Hi. Looks perfect. Smells the same. I'm a little bit scared of this because I don't know how old this one is, but I won't drink it all. But wow, yes. I think they called this a snowball when you added lemonade to it, but my God, it tastes just how it did. Oh, and even with the lemonade, it still tastes creamy. I'm wondering if the grown-ups would drink this straight. I'm assuming they would, given its weak alcohol content. I really don't know, but Advocaat lemonade was probably my favourite Christmas drink. And I think over the course of the holiday period, so we'll say 2 weeks worth of festivities, I maybe had this like 3 or 4 times. With lemonade, of course. I wasn't drinking the thing straight, but That is memories right there. Fantastic. Now, last of all, I often, no, when I say often, it only happened once every 12 months, but during the Christmas period, I would occasionally get a beer shandy. And I'm assuming Tennent's Special was a favourite of my father because we always had this at Christmas time. So I managed to find a can in 2019, and I can see that it does say, bear with me, it does say, because I saw it earlier. Yeah, 3.5% alcohol. So this has to be the weakest beer that I've consumed in probably 25 years. You know, typically beer these days is what, minimum of 5% or something. So this is, it's not particularly a strong beer, but I haven't seen this in decades. I honestly don't remember the can when I was a child, but I think the colour scheme is similar. I do remember Tennent's Lager because the cans, I think, were kind of white and blue, but on the back of the can they always had a picture of a beautiful babe of the time. So you can imagine it was big hair, Daisy Duke shorts, the sort of blouse, low cut and tied in a bow. It was, even as a child, I knew that that was something that was worth looking at. So anyway, Tennent's Special. Like I said, this has been a long time coming. Honestly, I don't know what it tastes like. I don't know what it looks like in terms of colours. So before we do the beer shandy, we'll just give it a quick beer taste test. All right, so it's much darker than lager. It just smells like beer. Yeah, it's all right. It's not something I would go seeking. And it's odd that it's got such a, I really does have quite a powerful taste, and yet the alcohol content is much lower than the stuff that I'm used to these days. Nah, it's drinkable, but I wouldn't go looking for it. Anyway, lager shandy. So I'm assuming probably that much of the ale, and it was filled to the brim with lemonade. Like so. And they would always make sure that I got the nice foaming head to give the impression that I was with the big men drinking a beer. And again, I should point out, this half pint glass was the half pint glass that I was given, because it's the only one we ever had, and it's the only one that I found at the house. So this was what I had back in the 80s. So I'm looking forward to this. Let's give it a test. Why do I keep saying test? It's a taste. Wow, that actually tastes way better than it does straight from the can. Even then, it's still, with the lemonade, it still maintained a much darker colour than the beer I'm used to drinking these days. But this one doesn't bring back the memories as much as the other two did. Yeah, I mean, it's alright. I think if I were to choose, I would absolutely go with the Advocaat lemonade. That was the best. The sherry was, in fact, the sherry lemonade was excellent. That's fantastic. But if I'm being honest, I would drink the sherry straight from one of these. So yes, there we have it. Drinking alcohol as a child at Christmas in the 80s. I got to tell you, having some of those drinks was like a real trip down memory lane, and brought back a lot of great memories. Now the next segment is going to be talking about some of the cakes and biscuits slash cookies that we enjoyed back in the 80s. And I'm very pleased to say that many of these items are still for sale this day. So if you're watching this and you are in the UK and you've never tried any of these, I highly recommend you go out to your local Tesco or Sainsbury's and pick up some of these items. So without further ado, here's part two, which is looking at the cakes, puddings and biscuits that we had at Christmas in the 80s. So from my memory, Christmas was many things, but one of the things that I remember quite fondly was the cakes and snacks that were specifically released for Christmas. Now I've managed to track down a pretty good selection of the things that I enjoyed back in the 80s, and I'm so happy they still make them. And first up is one that is very common all year round nowadays, but it's shortbread. So this is a finger of shortbread. Now when I was growing up, we only ever got these at Christmas and New Year. You know, currently supermarkets all over the world, including America, sell shortbread all year round. So I'm going to do this one first because I've had shortbread in the last 6 months, okay? Excuse me. It's just so delicious. You can actually taste the butter that's used to make it. In a way, I'm kind of sad that it's available all year round because, as I mentioned previously, when I was growing up in the 80s, you only ever got shortbread at Christmas and New Year. But it is a fantastic cookie or biscuit. It really is. And it's something that when I eat it, even if I was to buy one in the middle of May, I still think of Christmas. That was shortbread. Next up is an interesting one. This is a mini Yule log, which we have right here. Now, I recall my mum baking a full-sized Yule log, which is basically a chocolate sponge with chocolate filling, and it's rolled, and then you sprinkle icing sugar on top. And the idea is it's meant to be a tree trunk that has fallen in the forest and the snow has fallen upon it. And it not only does it taste good, it actually looks good if it's done well. And this one from Cadbury is done pretty well. They've got a nice sort of representation of the tree bark. They've got a bit of sprinkling of snow. So I'm going to give this one a try. Now, when did I last have a piece of Yule log? Holy, it has to be at least 25 to 30 years ago. And I imagine this one is a commercially made one, so it's not going to be like my mom's home baking, but let's give it a go. It's very good actually. And I have noticed that society has changed over the years. Families don't really bake at home as much. So I imagine kids growing up nowadays, this is all they know about a Yule log. I prefer my mom's homemade one, that's for sure. Next up, Christmas mince pie. See, mince pie. This was always confusing as a child because in Scotland, a mince pie for 11 months of the year meant a pie that contained minced beef or ground beef. At Christmas, however, mince pie meant a Christmas pie, which was a pie filled with fruit and nuts. I wonder if I can just check the ingredients real quick. Good Lord, it's so many. Raisins, orange peel, ground spice, lemon peel, apricot puree, barley, rapeseed oil, palm oil. Okay, there's a lot of additives to this one. Again, this was something that my mom would make fresh, and excuse me, I'm hoping that when I bite into this, I'm going to get a familiar taste. Short crust pastry, a lot of butter involved. And as I mentioned before, it's like fruits, nuts. It's a very acquired taste apparently. A lot of people don't like these. I always loved these, and a mince pie I've not had in... Oh, yeah. Again, it's probably a good 25 years at least. I have to be honest, it wasn't something I loved as a child. But now that I'm looking back at the 80s, it's something that I look on quite fondly. And let's see how this tastes. Wow. They're very stingy on the filling here. But without a word of a lie, my taste buds are just crying out Christmas. This is a great memory. That's fantastic. Okay, I can now say that I do love mince pies, and the best part of this is, after this video, I've got another 5 to enjoy. Next up is Christmas cake. Now, rather than buy an entire Christmas cake, I opted to get these Mr. Kipling Christmas slices, which are essentially a slice of Christmas cake. Now again, this is the commercial variety, something again that my mother would bake by hand. And in actual fact, she would start baking the Christmas cake in the summer prior to Christmas, and I think every week she would just add more liquor, which was probably brandy, to moisten things up and allow I'm not going to say it's fermented fruit, but it is fruit that has been baked 6 months prior to consumption. Now this one, yeah, it looks and it smells like Christmas cake, but again, they're very stingy. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but a Christmas cake was essentially a fruit cake with a layer of marzipan and a layer of icing. And from recollection, the marzipan was always the same depth as the icing, whereas in this case, it's like almost like a 10-to-1 ratio of icing versus marzipan. I don't know if marzipan is expensive these days or not, but I'm looking forward to this because there's nothing quite like Christmas cake to tell you it's Christmas time. So here we go. Yeah, it tastes just like Christmas cake. I'm not going to pretend it's as good as my mum's homemade Christmas cake, because it simply isn't. But if you are living in this day and age, you don't have the baking skills, these things here are a pretty good alternative. Now the last one we're going to try is one that, yes, I did like it growing up. I didn't love it. And typically on Christmas Day, we'd have 2 choices for dessert. We had Christmas pudding, which is this, or we had sherry trifle, which is something I'm going to make in another video. Christmas pudding is a very dense fruit pudding, and this one I think is an acquired taste. I didn't love it growing up. I accepted it, but I think trying this now, all these years later, is going to bring back a ton of memories. Now, I managed to find this individual Christmas pudding. Once again, it was something that my mom baked, and I think similar to Christmas cake, it was one of these things that were made many, many months in advance of Christmas, and was, you know, it had its weekly top up of liquor to keep things fresh and keep it moist. This one was a microwavable individual Christmas pudding, so hopefully it's okay. It's very sticky, which is a good sign. And again, it's like fruits, nuts, very similar to Christmas cake, but I honestly don't know what the difference in the process is, but it's a very similar ingredient. I just got a real taste of orange peel there, which sounds disgusting, but actually in the context of this cake is fantastic. It's like raisins, sultanas, peel, I think there's some nuts in there. Oh, wow, it is good. And normally it would be served with fresh cream or brandy sauce, which obviously I don't have today. But once again, just the taste of this, that's Christmas. These cakes, these puddings just bring back so many great memories. And I'm very happy to say that you can still buy these in 2019. So if there are any young kids watching this who've never tried these, go tell your mum and dad, hey, I want to try some of that stuff this old guy was recommending, because it really is good. Wow, looking back at some of those cakes and desserts, that brings back a lot of great memories. So in the last segment of this Christmas special, we're once again going back to look at the alcoholic drinks that were served at Christmas in the 80s. Now, before anyone raises any concerns, no, we were not forced to drink alcohol as children. We were only given alcohol at Christmas time, and in such tiny amounts it was practically insignificant. So anyway, let's get on with this last segment, which is looking at, once again, at alcoholic drinks that were served at Christmas. So here we are again doing more Christmas drink memories from the 80s. And with us this time is the Santa Claus that I remember very fondly as a child. This was my grandmother's. I suspect this is probably from the 1950s. And a couple of baubles I remember very vividly from the 80s. So anyway, drinks at Christmas in the 80s. I'm going to start with one that I remember, which was probably towards the late 80s, which was something I was given as a child at Christmas time, which they called peach schnapps and lemonade. And rather than go to the store and buy an entire bottle of peach schnapps for this video, very conveniently they now sell it ready mixed in a can. So this is peach schnapps perfectly mixed with lemonade. So I'm going to try this over ice, as I did back then, and see if it tastes the same. I can honestly say I've not had peach schnapps since probably, latest would be 1992, I think. So anyway, don't even know if they sell this in America. Is it Archer? Yeah, it's Archer's. Archer's peach schnapps. Let's see. I mean, it certainly looks the same. Everything was clear. The peach schnapps was clear. The lemonade was clear. Oh my God, it does smell like it. Holy moly, this. Oh, I'm excited. It tastes exactly as it did back then. Wow. Oh, it's delicious. It doesn't taste alcoholic at all. Now this is claiming to be 5.4% alcohol, which is reasonably strong for a can of this size. I mean, obviously it's smaller than a can of beer, but it's so drinkable and it doesn't taste at all like alcohol. You could literally go to town on this stuff and not realize it. Obviously the bottle itself contains a hell of a lot more than 5.4. I think it was probably, if I'm guessing, I'm going to say it's maybe high teens, low 20s% alcohol. But as a child, I was probably given like this much and the rest of it was lemonade. But the smell and the taste is exactly as I remember it, which is wonderful. This, now, if, I was going to say, don't be an irresponsible parent by any, don't ever do that, but if you want to give your kid a little something to enjoy at Christmas, you really can't go wrong with this stuff. You could probably buy a can of this, and if you have 3 or 4 kids around, you can give them a little taste each because it's very inoffensive but delicious. Oh God, like I always say, oh, that takes me back, but this taste really does send me right back in time. So next up we're going to do a drink which was again something I was allowed to have as a child, which was Sweetheart Stout. Now I found this at the store today and I'm so happy that the can is more or less how it was back in the 80s with this lady. She looks like she may be from the 50s or 60s, but this was more or less how I remember it. Sweetheart Stout, and this one contains 2% alcohol, so by today's standards this is extremely weak, but I was given this with lemonade, which I don't have with me today, but I'm going to do another traditional drink. But first of all, I just want to taste this on its own because I haven't had this. I can say with certainty I've not had this in probably maybe 34, 35 years. And I do remember it was actually, given its name, it was rather sweet. It was a stout, which I think is like the same family of beers as Guinness, etc. Oh yeah, it's pretty dark. I'm going to just give this a taste on its own. This is beer? This is like a soda. Obviously it's low percentage alcohol, but my God, it's like soda. It's sweet, it's creamy. If you were to give someone this just in a blind taste test, they would never in a million years predict that this was beer. So anyway, I was given this as sweet and weak as it is with some lemonade as a child, but there was another drink that the grown-ups drank called a black and tan, which is a combination of this with a lager. So clearly this is meant to be the black. This is the black, and then you combine it with tan, which is lager. So this is a classic Scottish combination. Tennant's Lager, Younger of Alloa Sweetheart Stout. So I'd never had black and tan in my life before, so this is a first. Excuse me. So black and tan. You can see as I'm pouring it, it's completely, I was going to say tan colored, but it's very light, but you get the idea, black and tan. So this is the combination of black and tan. Oh, it's wonderful. Wow, truly wonderful. It's still got a dark colour to it. Wow, this was great. This was fantastic. So peach schnapps and lemonade was a real favourite of mine. And like I said, it was more towards the end of the 80s that peach schnapps came out, but I'm not even lying to you. When I smell this, I smell Christmas. And this, so the Sweetheart Stout was delicious on its own. The Black and Tan is also delicious. There we have it. More Christmas drinks from the 80s. So I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I hope for you it brought back some great memories, because let me tell you, for me, that was just a memory overload. So anyway, I thank you for watching this. Please do like, please subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video, which may well be another Christmas special. So thank you, and see you next time.